This video is about integer translations, where we're translating from an English phrase to a mathematical expression. And we have 4 different operations that we could choose when we're reading the English phrase to write the mathematical expression: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Plus to plus, subtraction is a subtraction sign or a minus. Multiplication, we can do an x, but that's becomes difficult when you start using variables because an x could be a variable. A dot can mean times, or just using parentheses. If you have a number right in front of parentheses, it means the number times the parentheses, or 2 parentheses next to each other mean multiply those 2 numbers. This is a long division symbol. This is the symbol we typically use when writing an equation. And sometimes we'll use a fraction bar where the top gets divided by the bottom. The words we would use for addition are sum, total, more than, added to, plus, increased by, or just and. Watch carefully when you have more than or added to. Anytime you see the words to, than, or from, the order of the numbers is going to change. We'll see that as we go through the problems. Same when we get into subtraction. We have difference, minus, subtract, deduct, less than, taken from. So we're watching out for the than, the from, decreased by, subtracted from. There's from again. Sometimes somebody will say take away. That means subtract. Multiplication, the answer is a product. And sometimes you'll hear people talk about factors. That's the 2 numbers that multiply to make a product. 2 or more numbers, actually. Multiplication can also be said times, multiplied by, groups of, like 4 times 3 is 4 groups of 3. Of, if you're using fractions or percents, like 25% of 82 means 0.25 times 82. A fraction, like 1/2 of 3, is 1/2 times 3. So that's when the word of comes into play. Dividing, the answer is a quotient. You might say divided by, divide goes into. So let's just do some of these to get the hang of it. So the sum of 5 and -6. Sum is plus. So this is pretty straightforward. Sum of 5 and -6. Because sum was plus. Product is times. So I might put the dot or I might put parentheses. -11 and 7. I'm going to use the parentheses. You might want parentheses around both of them. That works also. Difference is subtraction, -2 and -3. Here we're going to use parentheses. Anytime you have 2 signs in a row, we use parentheses just to set it apart. So we don't think somebody just kind of slipped with their hand, but we realize this is saying minus -3. Quotient. Quotient is divide, quotient of 8 and -2. Or you might do it like this. Either way is legitimate. 15 less than. Here's where we start having some of the tricky ones. When we have 15 less than -12, the 15 goes over here because it is less than -12. 15 less than -12. We're taking it away from the -12. 17 multiplied by, -3. So again, multiplication, I'm just going to use the parentheses. I could put a dot to mean times. 8 more than. Again, we have that than word. So we're saying it's 8 more than -3. So it's -3 plus 8. 7 subtracted from 8. The temptation is to go like this, but that would be wrong because that's 8 subtracted from 7. So again, we have that word from. 7 subtracted from 8. 16 times -4. -33 divided by 3. So I can do it this way or this way. Oops. I even had a marker to remind myself to move this up, and I didn't do it. Sorry about that. So let's go back up to, that was the 16 times -4. -33 divided by 3 can be written that way or that way. These last 3 are a little more complicated. Here we have 5 times the sum of, so it's 5 times this whole thing. So to indicate that, we do 5 times, and then the sum is plus 8 and negative 2. So I probably should put brackets because I have that parentheses in there too. That's hard to see that. I'm going to cross it out and do it over here. 5 times the sum of 8 plus negative 2 would look like that. So it's when it says times the sum, here we have double the difference. Double means 2 times. So double the difference of, difference is subtract, 6 and 8. So this is indicating that it's 2 times this whole thing. It's 2 times the difference of. 6 plus 8 times negative 2. This time I don't put it in parentheses. I can just, because order of operations says you're going to multiply before you add, that works fine if you just do 6 plus, and then this is the 8 times negative 2. Oops, I forgot the negative. So always go back and check, like read it to yourself and make sure you wrote what you just said. So that's how those work, and there are some practice sheets in the Math Prep and Learning Lab website, or Blackboard page, or also in, along with this video, in the Math 94 site.